Hi there, welcome to Business Naturally, my vlog, and this time it's a bit different than the ones you are used to. I'm not taking you into nature this time. We've done that for 12 months in a row, but this time I'm actually presenting my model to you. It's just over a year that the book came out, the book was released, and a lot of things happened during this last year. And one of the things is that there's a model now, a model basically that it encompasses all the elements and it also relates it back to how we could actually use it and apply it in our organization. So I'm keen on sharing it with you. I'm looking forward to that. So it's a bit different than the other ones. I hope you bear with me. It's going to be a bit longer as well. I hope it's not going to be too boring. But well, I promise you, if you make it all the way to the end, there are some, I think quite surprising elements of how you could actually organize your organization when you take nature as a mentor. Okay, let's get started. My whole model is built around the golden circle that was made popular by Sinek, as you probably know, with the why, the how, and the what. So with the why, you need to have a clear purpose. With the how, you have to have a good idea of what your principles are, what your main values are, what drives you. And then in the what, you basically are looking at what are we doing. Okay, so my model is also built around this same structure. As you can see here, we start in the middle with purpose. That's step one. You really need to know why you are doing what you're doing. And no, the answer cannot be because we have to make profit. Money is a means, not an objective in itself. Money in itself is nothing. So you really have to ask your question, why are we doing this? What brings me back to this company or this organization every day? What am I doing it for? Well, we can spend the whole day on uncovering what your purpose is. We're not going to do it now. But that's what the first step you need to know, the why, the purpose. Taking it to the next level, we have to look into the how. Well, if you're familiar with my vlogs, you've seen these principles before. These are the principles that are, they come from the Institute of Biomimicry. These are the 6 principles from nature that we can apply in our own organizations. If we apply these principles, we are, working as nature does it. So this is a model, I used it as well. I've reorganized the order of the elements a little bit. As you can see here, I started at the bottom with values-based. If you want to know more about values-based, I'm showing you at the left every time because 12 elements are part of my book, 6 principles and 6 elements of ecosystems. And those correspond with the 12 vlogs that I have published, during the last year. And in the October vlog of last year, it's really about purpose and values based. So if you want to know more about that, please look up that vlog. And for every element, I will show you which vlog corresponds to that. Well, values based, there's a lot of things being written already about that, I think, in organizations. You need to know, if you know your why, you also have to have these clear principles, the things that drive you. And you want to create value. In nature, a very important value is mutualism, as you can see. A symbiosis, as you can see with the bee and the flower on the left. So that's one of the first principles. I go through these pretty fast, otherwise it's going to be an extremely long video and nobody wants to see me that long. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is optimize. If you work according to nature, you're no longer maximizing, but you are focusing on optimizing. There's a big difference because when maximizing, if you maximize profit, you are therefore basically foregoing other opportunities that you can't, there's nothing left. There's only one time 100%. So if you look for the optimal result, you will find out in the end it brings you a lot more. My June vlog focuses on optimizing. The third principle in nature is being adaptive. Change is the only constant nowadays. So you need to be able to quickly adapt to changes. The September vlog talks you through that. In nature, in September, we see how nature is very adaptive, how it adapts to the changing circumstances and how it makes sure it can survive. All right, moving on to number 4, that's being resilient. It's in line with being adaptive, actually. So what do you do when a crisis happens? How well are you capable of handling it, on getting through it? That's basically what makes you a resilient company. The book The Infinite Game of Simon Sinek also tells you a lot about that. You can learn a lot from that. And from nature itself, of course, as you can see in the January vlog. The 5th one is life supporting. all your processes should be carried out in a life-supporting manner, which basically means, well, the word sustainable gets a strange sound to it nowadays, but it basically means you have to do things in a sustainable way, where it actually, this the literal meaning of sustainable is that it's something that can sustain itself. So basically your processes that you carry out right now should not jeopardize future possibilities to carry out these same processes. Then it's really sustainable. Then we call it life supporting. So you do something, and by what you do, you basically support other life, making possible. Big difference. November vlog tells you more about it. Those are 5 principles already, very important ones. And the last one basically brings it all together. The 6th principle is everything in nature is systems based. That also means that you cannot just embrace one of these principles I'm showing you here. You really have to do, it's everything or nothing, right? Because they're all related. If you would implement one, you cannot say after a year, you see it doesn't work because we tried it with one. No, that's not the way it works. It's either you do it or you don't do it. It's all systems based, so one is always affecting the other. But as you can see in the picture there, to the left of the model, this flower is only so beautiful because it's standing there in its natural environment. And if you try to pull it, you will find out it's not just a flower in itself. It's connected with roots into the soil and other microorganisms and so forth. It's a whole complex system. So this is a how circle, basically. These 6 principles that you can embrace and that you can use to, run your organization with always a purpose at heart. Then we move on to the next layer, the what layer, and for that we use this model. This is a model of an entrepreneurial ecosystem as developed by Daniel Isenberg. And he talks about these 6 elements are being part of your entrepreneurial ecosystem. What I will do in the next couple of slides is relate those to factors of natural ecosystems. And then you also see that it all makes sense. We basically do the same thing. We are part of nature, so it should make sense. Let's have a look. We go to the outer circle. The first of these elements that I'm introducing here is policy. It's quite high up, meaning that we talk about natural policies here or regional policies, so we might not always be capable of influencing it directly, but it's definitely influencing us. Right? So the policies are there. And if you can compare policies to what in nature would be the climate and the seasons. Right? So if you are an organism, a plant or a tree, you cannot change the climate, you cannot change the season, you have to deal with it. That is your natural habitat, that's where you are, that's your place in the ecosystem, in that specific ecosystem. So climate and seasons are comparable to policies for our organizations. The December vlog tells you a lot more about that. Next one on the list is finance, also quite high up, meaning most organizations need finance. They need an external source of energy, basically, to carry out their plans. In nature, that's the same. Our whole planet basically is a closed system with only one thing coming from outside the system in use capacities, and that's sunlight. So sun energy is the only thing that enters our closed system. So you can compare that for an organization, the sunlight, what finance would be for your organization. Sometimes you need that external boost of energy. It can be a lot of energy that you need, could also be that you only need very little. If you look at plant life, trees, some like it in the shade, some like to be in full sun. It all differs, but all the organisms that work in nature and produce, so basically that have photosynthesis, they do need sunlight. No sunlight, no production. All right. Next on the list, we're going pretty fast through this, is support. You never do it on your own. Of course, you have a lot of people within your organization, but next to that, there's also other support systems. You can think of your suppliers, you can think of an accounting firm that might help you out, ICT support. There's all these other parties that are helping you out in organizing, in making sure you can produce, you can provide the services or produce the goods. That's the same in nature as well. There's always the landscape and there's other nutrients. For example, there's no plant that can live without nitrogen or phosphor or whatever, so that needs to be present. Sometimes it's present in the soil, sometimes it's not present in the soil, then nature finds a different solution and works together with an organism that can do it for it. Bacteria, for example. But the support systems you choose, the support systems that are available in your ecosystem, are also basically narrowing down what you can do and what you can't do. So you always have to do it in line with the support systems that are present. At the same time, you also choose those support systems that support your values, because values and purpose are still at the heart of this thing. So it all needs to be in sync. It's all one organism. Next one is culture, all the way on this side. What culture is for an organization, there could be a natural culture, there could be an organizational culture, there's many different layers of culture around you. It's basically what in a natural ecosystem is the soil. And if you look at the soil is basically the result of what happened through decades, centuries in the past on that specific spot where you are. You can have a very rich soil and you can have a very poor soil, but the soil is what it is. There is always a culture, and there is always a soil that you are basing where plants and trees are in. So that culture, it's not only possible to change the culture, it will change. It's constantly changing because of new organisms coming in your company, in your organization, new people coming in. It's a constantly changing process. However, it changes very slowly, very gradually. But it's part of the game. You have to take it into account. All right, and now we get to the only two factors that we normally consider when we talk about an ecosystem, which is flora and fauna. All the other ones are, well, you could say abiotic, so not really alive, except for in culture, in the soil, of course, there's all kind of microorganisms. But flora and fauna are the only two that really are alive. And for our organization, that means the flora is our human capital. In my whole approach of comparing your organization to natural processes, that means that organizations are producers. And if we look at nature, it's the plant and tree kingdom that produces. That's the one who produces the sugars. And the animal kingdom that comes into the next slide, those are the consumers. So we'll get back to that. But when we look at producers, we need that knowledge, we need specific talents, and that's what we find in human capital. So the people that we have in our company or around our company, the people we work with, that's what makes us truly unique. That's the only aspect nowadays that other companies could not copy. So this is where our unique added value is in the human capital. So very important. And then the last factor is the market. So yes, in the end, we have produced a product or we have provided a service, so we do need the consumers. That's the same in nature as well. Nature takes its products to the market as well. As you can see here on the picture with all these berries, that's nature's produce, that's the product. The purpose is inside that product, because the purpose of the whole story I've been telling you, the whole purpose for this tree or for this plant is to sustain itself, to make sure that it reproduces. And all these berries are being produced and they're all very nice, products full of glucose, full of sugar. So birds will be very keen on eating them. But inside that berry is a seed. And there's the whole purpose, because the idea is to sell this product, or actually nature provides it for free to the birds. But they take this, they eat this berry and they drop out the seed somewhere else in some manure. And that's the whole purpose. So that's why this whole tree is providing all these products to the market and so forth. So there is still mutualism, the first one I showed you about the value-based approach. These are all the 12 elements, or actually 13 then, with purpose in the center. This is also basically the content of my book. Well, then in, I need 6-7 minutes. However, there's a next layer, and I would like to introduce you to that next layer. So let's see what comes up next. So we've done the why, how, and the what, but of course, we also need to know so what? Why are we doing this? Well, here I'm introducing you to another model you might not have seen. This is the purpose economy as developed by Dutch researcher Kees Klomp. In order to explain it, I would like to go to the next slide, because you're quite pretty familiar with the one on the left, the triple bottom line, or the 3 Ps. And well, the model is supposed to be called People, Planet, Profit. However, when you look at how most organizations apply it, it's profit first, people second, if there's something left, planet third. So the model, that's not how the model was intended, but that's how it's very often being used nowadays. And that's a pity, because it makes it a model of three separate aspects. If we look at the model next to it, the model of the three W's, the model of Kees Klomp, that's more about being whole. It's about wholeness. Here we see in the middle the purpose economy. So here you also see that purpose is at the heart of everything. And then when you look at the right bottom corner, it talks about wellness. That's what we need to fulfill. This is all the wants and needs at an individual level that need to be fulfilled. On the left bottom corner, we see well-being. Here we talk more about the social side of things and the ecological side of things. So taking care of the planet, taking care of our societies. And then on the top, you see welfare. Yes, we do need to earn money. So is profit going to be made? Definitely, because we cannot survive without that profit. We need that added value. So it's not a model that preaches that you should not make any profit. It's just making profit in the right way. All right. Applying this model to what I've been sharing with you so far, you can see that basically I've now filled in the 6 remaining elements, and you see that welfare is at the top, wellness is right in the bottom, and you see well-being in the left corner. So basically the 6 principles and the 6 elements of the ecosystem with purpose in the heart, they relate to these 3 W's, to wellness, well-being, and welfare. Now, until now, you've probably been looking at this model as a 2-dimensional model where you saw, oh, nice, there's a flower in the middle. I don't know what you were thinking, but maybe something along those lines. What I want you to do now is stop thinking in a 2-dimensional way and make it 3-dimensional. And you can do that by focusing on purpose and pull purpose towards you. Now, if you do that, you probably see that it's not a 2-dimensional model, but it's a cube. It's a cube where purpose is basically on the axles, where there's a top side to the cube, and there's a left side and a right hand side. Well, if we first focus on the right hand side, then we get this. With purpose at heart, and with these 3 principles, so values-based, being adaptive and resilient, this is how we work towards wellness. This is how we take care of at the individual level of our organization, the people. So how do we take care of the people? So culture and human capital are, of course, very important elements in that when we talk about ecosystem. So when you focus on the right-hand side of this cube, this is how you can take care of wellness. This is also, if you relate it to Kate Raworth's donut economy, you could say this is also how you take care of the social foundation. So the inner circle of the donut, and the foundation, the minimum level that you want things to be taken care of. All right. Moving on to the next slide, we see if we focus on the left-hand side of the cube, again with purpose at heart, we now have the 3 principles to work with, which are values-based, optimized, and life-supporting. So this is how we will be producing, this is how we will be providing our services with these 3 principles leading us. We do that together with supporting companies who are thinking alike, right? So who have the same value set as we do, very important. And we produce our products or provide our services in markets that are also where consumers have the same drive. So by creating this side, we're now taking care of well-being. Yes, we are producing, yes, we are providing. However, we do it in such a way that we are not creating any more harm to the planet, and hopefully we even actually being regenerative and are slowly making things better again. So this side of the cube is about well-being. If you've taken care of the social foundation and you take well-being into consideration, then this is basically the ecological ceiling that Kate Raworth talks about in her donut economy. If you've taken care of these 2, then you automatically end up, or I'm going the wrong way, you automatically end up in the sweet spot, because this now is the place where you can create value and where you can create profit without doing harm and while doing good. And therefore you see we have now these 3 remaining principles here. We have life-supporting, systems-based, and resilient. Your company is now filled with people and who are geared towards resilience. So you want to make sure that you stay in business. All your processes are laid down in a life-supporting manner. You bear in mind that it's all systems-based, so you cannot do one without the other. So you have to take care of wellness, you have to take care of well-being, and that then automatically will lead to welfare. Policies will be adapted and finance will be available because you're doing the things that how everybody's supposed to do it. So this will then bring you to the point where you can do well and good with your company. All right, I've been talking a lot, I've been talking fast, so I need to take a deep breath. Okay, we're back. If you made it so far, well, congratulations. I hope you didn't fall asleep and woke up halfway, then you have to go back and look at it again. Well, this is a quick picture of all the sources I've been using so far. Well, it's not all the sources, it's a collection from it. In the back you see, of course, my main inspiration, that's nature. You see all these books, they're all related to all the different elements. And you see work of Kees Klomp here to my right hand side. If you would like to know more, please, do contact me. If you have any comments, if you have any feedback for me, please leave it here below the video. If you're interested to see more, businessnatuurlijk.com, that's the website, that's how you can contact me. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this helps you a little bit. There's the Christmas time is coming up, so you have plenty of time to let it sink in and think about it, and let me know what you think.